Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about why fighting right matters. We're going to talk about different conflict styles. We all have our conflict styles, so we're going to help you guys identify what the conflict style is and how to work that conflict style with your partner who also has a different conflict style. And then we're going to be talking about different techniques on how to fight right, which is really important in having a very healthy relationship. John Gottman can predict divorce with a 90% accuracy. They can predict that within the first 3 minutes of seeing how you guys interact. And so there's some real data-backed evidence here, and we'd love to share it with you.
Okay, guys, welcome back to another episode. This is going to be a continuation of the, I guess we can almost call it the John Gottman and the Julie Gottman series about how to fight right. And today it will be about fighting styles, avoidant, validating, volatile. Which one are you? And I'm currently reading the book. I know you have been immersed in this world for a long time. And would love to hear what you think about how couples can fight right, and maybe just rehash some of the things that John and Julie Gottman do, and then go into it from there.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, John Gottman, if you guys don't know, John and Julie Gottman, they're married. They have started the Gottman Institute. They're the most data-backed research institute, like company that has to do with marriage and relationships, and they're just amazing. They're world renowned, and we'd like to follow them for our advice because we obviously want to do what actually works rather than just anecdotal or things that just come from wives' tales and whatnot, right? So let's get into it. Let's talk about why fighting styles matter. Basically, it's not about conflicts. It's not about having conflicts, because conflicts are normal. Conflicts are healthy. In fact, if you didn't have conflicts, that would be weird. It's about how to fight, knowing your fighting style and how to fight well with your fighting style. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's talk about the three types of conflict styles. And by the way, there's no style that's superior. The goal is the awareness and the effectiveness and navigating through that. So let's talk about it. So let's talk about why conflict styles emerge. So one could be upbringing, right? How parents or caregivers handle conflict creates blueprints for adult relationships. Attachment styles, insecure or secure attachments for people who know what that is. Culture values, some culture emphasizes harmony. Others, they debate or they're very direct. Personal experiences, personality differences. So let's kind of go through it. First of all, John, do you know what your conflict style is?
Great question. I think I am probably a combination of two. Of course, I'm self-diagnosing, but I think I'm more the validating and occasionally avoidant. I mean, the thing is, as I'm reading this book, as I'm learning about all of these things, the data back, reviewing the data back research, and just the context is that, they're actually here. Like, they're based out of UW in Washington, which is great. But not only that, they've helped and interviewed intimately 3,000 different couples over a long period of time. Yeah. And what's really amazing is I keep thinking about, okay, what makes me an avoidant or a validator? And it's really about how did I observe fights when I was growing up and what's been my history. But I feel like I am the strongest description for myself is that I try to introduce the logic into the argument. And sometimes the fallacy for me, as we'll probably cover, is that the timing of that logic and when it enters a relationship, and maybe trying to prescribe before diagnosing properly could be a thing. But what about you? I'm curious to know what you think your style is.
Yeah, So people know the different kinds of styles, so they can, kind of see what we're choosing from. Is number one, it's the avoidant style. That's a very common one for people, especially in the Asian culture. And then you have the validating style, and then you have the volatile style. Actually, let's just go through some of the descriptions here. So, like for the avoidant, tends to minimize conflict or steer clear of disagreements. You emphasize harmony and let small issues slide rather than confront them directly. The validating style is the focus on acknowledging and understanding the partner's feelings and thoughts. Seems like a pretty good thing. Conflicts are approached as shared problems to solve together using empathy and collaboration. The volatile style is conflict is lively, expressive, and direct. Both partners speak their minds fiercely with arguments featuring energy and emotion. And disagreements, of course, can get loud. You get emotionally, charged, and are often mixed with the affection and humor. Out of these, I feel like I'm also validating. I I almost feel like I'm almost both, but it's like I can see. I think
Both what? Validating and
so I know I'm validating. I would say I can see myself leaning towards a volatile style and an avoidant style, and I'll kind of explain why. Is because my dad is very volatile style. My mom is an avoidant, clearly. And so I can see almost like, I don't know if it's genetics or just the way I was raised, that I can be gravitated towards both. And I know that, I can see myself getting kind of critical and, getting loud. But I think to be honest, I think that's my natural. But because I saw my dad kind of engage in that kind of way and seeing how, honestly, it was very unproductive and it was very destructive. And because I saw that, and he's not like that anymore, but it's like it used to be like that. And I realized, that is not the style that I personally would want. Now, I'm sure there's ways around that, and we're going to talk about it. But I would say that would be a natural that I'm working on. But I can also see a little bit of avoidant as well. So
okay. So with that said, maybe because I also do self-identify partially as avoidant. So maybe we'll talk about why people become avoidant, right? Yeah. So like you said, family background or even cultural background often emerges from families where open conflict was discouraged or seen as dangerous. And also culturally too. Like in the book, they talk about a couple who the guy is German. And for those of us who are unfamiliar, like German culture or Japanese culture can be seen as more, kind of more subdued and kind of more logical and like let's keep it here. It could also be from early relationships. If previous attempts, so this is kind of like the nature versus nurture thing. If previous attempts at confrontation led to escalation or punishment, people may learn that it's safer to just let it go and to not deal with it, right? Sure. We don't have enough money in the bank account. And if we're both avoidant, we might say, well, we might get a raise next year, so it's okay. Oh, okay. That's like the classic avoidant style, right? Personality factors could be it too. Some people just value peace and stability above resolution, which is very interesting how it says value peace and stability over resolution, preferring calm even if issues remain unresolved. I definitely see myself identifying with that. I don't know about you.
Oh, you see yourself like, really? It's a little surprising.
I think it's more like what is the natural tendency
rather than what you actually do.
Exactly.
Because you've kind of like the way I am with my dad.
Yeah.
You just learned to be more, no, we gotta.
Cause we're both, at the end of the day, we're like, I think we've both trained ourselves to become, in the middle and kind of get things done. Right. But I do value personally, in my instinctual first, the first thought that goes through my head, I'm like, I just want peace and stability and harmony. I've been kind of the mediator, right, in my family and amongst friends and things like that. So I just identify with that
Right.
a bit more.
And there are pros and cons to that, right? It's like, especially in real estate, like you are so much better at, being more calm and collected, especially during disagreements between the buyer and seller, or the listing agent and the buyer's agent. And so I really appreciate that about you. So there could be a really good aspect to that. You also, maintain a lot of relationships, longer term relationships, because you know just how to mediate and keep the peace. I think one of the biggest issues with the avoidant style that does happen very often, honestly, with the avoidant styles is resentment and like anger issues.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like they keep it in, and then the day they break, like I'm afraid right now being next to you right now, because I'm afraid there's just going to be, I kind of want to dump that water because I feel like you're going to throw it at me.
I feel resentful.
Here we go.
My heart rate is, 200.
Yeah.
I see that too. And that's where I've learned that, okay, this is not a healthy way to move forward. You have to learn how to, voice your opinions and get things done.
Right.
And so so then validating style, I don't want to say one style is the best, because everything has a pro and a con. But maybe why do people become validators? And as people listen to this, hopefully they can start thinking about, okay, what's my natural instinct among the three? Number one, healthy role models modeled by caregivers who manage disagreements calmly and respectfully. Secure attachment, meaning people who feel safe and valued are more often able to regulate emotions and validate others. And then also skills and practice, often reflecting learned communication skills such as active listening and seeking compromise. But what do you think pros and cons would be of this style?
I mean, it almost seems like just a pro, right? It's like, what's wrong with that, right? I mean, gosh, you feel safe and valued, regulate emotions. I mean, that's like all the good things that one would want. What they wrote was they build trust and connection through mutual respect. That's the pro. And then the con would be they may avoid passionate expression, sometimes missing out on deeper emotions or truth. I actually just met with one of our mutual friends recently, and he was talking about how he is kind of a validator, but what he realized is, and he was trying to keep the peace and whatnot, what he also realized is that he wasn't able to truly be himself. And so let's just, it's kind of like almost like the avoider, where it's like you can't truly just like, oh, I'm mad, or like I'm sad, or like you can't just really just let that inner side of you express itself, so you can kind of like loose that side of you. So maybe that could be a con, and that's kind of what John Gottman said.
Like maybe you're also playing that role, I mean, there is a fuzzy line between like, am I this kind of a person now versus 10 years ago or 20 years ago? And then if you have to play that role of always being that person, I think the other pitfall is and we'll talk about mismatches in style, right? The pitfall is if a validator goes up against a type that is maybe doesn't give them that space for the logic. Maybe it's the volatile. Maybe there's just too much and there's no reasoning until you do the other things that's required. So I think it's a really good introduction for why people do those, or how people identify with a certain fighting style. And maybe we can head right into, how do you navigate when people don't match up?
Oh, sorry, we have to talk about the volatile style real quick.
Oh, the volatile style, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the volatile style, again, is being, conflict is lively, expressive, and direct.
Right.
They're
Right.
fiercely arguing, this and that. You guys know this.
Passionate,
Yep. So why do people become volatile? You want to kind of go through that?
Yeah, so expressive backgrounds, families where debate and emotion were normal and even encouraged. I immediately, again, jumped to different cultures. Like, I would say a lot of Korean people, like there's a lot of passion and emotion. Or like, stereotypes are sometimes true because they are true, like Latino families, right? There's a lot of passionate arguing going on. It could also just be a personality, maybe outgoing. Intense personalities may process feelings by vocalizing them. I immediately think of my second child. He's a very passionate and vocal person compared to my first. And the way I deal with them is, I think, fundamentally different. And I've expressed this to you or my wife. Or it could be a relationship dynamic. So both partners are comfortable with stormy or heated exchanges and know how to recover and reconnect after a fight, which I think is a huge point. What do you think is some pros and cons with this volatile style?
A pro would be issues are surfaced quickly and dealt with honestly. They fight really hardcore and then they just figure it out, right? Can risk escalation. Obviously, the con would be the escalation, and then if humor or positive connection is lost, may slip into contempt or hurtful patterns, right? When you get emotionally that excited, then that could lead to a lot of hurtful things to say. And of course, then there's contempt and criticism and all those, part of the four horsemen that could be very destructive in a marriage, right? Which has a 90% success indicator of a divorce. And so, yeah. So now we can move into how do we navigate with the mixed style marriages, right?
So
how does an avoider work with the volatile personality?
So if a partner has a different conflict style, what do you feel like are the potential challenges there? Have you seen some of this play out in your own life or other people around you? I would just love to hear more about that from you.
The question was, how do you...
what are some of the challenges with a mismatched style, and have you seen anything play out like that?
Yeah, so I think one of the styles that I see often, and I don't know if it's something about they attract each other, but I see a lot of volatile and avoidant. For some reason, that kind of matches.
Can I ask you? So you're married. What's Rebecca's style, you think?
I think she would be more. She's pretty direct.
Yeah.
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 So she's kind of like my dad in that sense. She can be pretty direct about things that bother her. Just being completely honest. And but of course, she's validating as well. She's the validating style. She I think that would be her natural, and then she's kind of trained herself to be a lot more validating and empathetic and listening and trying to be calm and use all the techniques. And so but I would say her natural is that. And for me, I'd say I could also be that style. I'd say I have tendencies to be that style, or potentially even an avoidant style in some ways.
So since this topic is about fighting styles, do you think that Rebecca actually has a volatile fighting style? Because when you guys have arguments, how does it play out? I'm just curious. Yeah.
Hey, let's get real here. Yeah. Hey, we're here, right?
Yeah, the cameras are off. It's okay.
The cameras are off. No one's watching.
It's running.
Just to be completely honest, it can get emotionally charged. At times it does. I think for the most part, we're pretty calm and collected, but there are times where it gets emotionally charged. It gets, elevated. I haven't gotten elevated yet. I haven't, when I say elevated, I'm talking I'm shouting. I've never done that. Rebecca has gotten emotionally charged, which again is it's pretty normal. So again, if we're talking about the volatile style, it's being lively and expressive, talking fiercely with a lot of energy. It's we all have done that, right? But there are some people who just are super calm. I think that she can tend, she has that side of her, and And I have my side as well, right? I have that style as well, because I kind of grew up with that. But I would say, yeah, for the most part, we try to stay pretty calm in our arguing. You know what's funny is like a lot of our arguments have to do with video games. Because
I've heard that multiple times
from me.
Yeah, even on this podcast, actually.
Yeah. What's and you know, I'm not gonna sound really cool right now. I like video games. Okay,
Yeah,
like
sure.
I like playing. So me and my friend comes over. We play a game called Dota. It's pretty competitive, and you know the way Dota works is like you play a game. It's like an hour, and you can't stop. You really can't. Like you're playing with other people. If you leave, it's like you get penalties. And so we tend to play like for multiple hours, not like so long, but like let's just say like 3 hours.
3 hours.
Sometimes 4.
Whew.
Yeah.
It's a big chunk of time.
But you know, I schedule and whatnot. But anyway, we had an argument. We usually have arguments around that time. And it's like, oh, I didn't, you know, at least in betweens go say hi, or I didn't, you know,
okay.
or he stayed a little bit longer than usual or whatnot. It usually has to do with that. Let's not, you know, schedule this on the weekends because that's our time.
So
If I'm remembering right.
So then the way she fights or argues with you about that, is that, would you say, validating or volatile?
Well, that one was volatile.
Okay.
I think for the most part, she's validating because I think we all have tendencies because of the way we grew up to be a certain style. But I think for her, she has learned and trained. And so that's why Rebecca and I don't argue that often, or we don't have like fierce arguments. It's usually just, you know, we're talking through some things. I think one of the things that she wants, and this is something actually recent where I'm a type 1 Enneagram, and one of the things I don't like is actually getting criticized. And one thing I realize is like, anytime I get criticized, because I'm already so hard on myself, I actually get defensive. So that's one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Yeah.
So I think because I get defensive, that's why we what she wants to hear after we have conflict is like, hey, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I hear your feeling. I validate your feeling and your frustration. I think that's what she wants. And that's something that I've been working on in our conflict. But I think what I struggle with is like when she says something, you know, she says, you know, something that she is unhappy with, that she wants me to change. I sometimes take that as a personal attack, and I'm already so hard on myself that I get defensive, and then that's where it kind of starts to escalate. So I'm starting to, as I'm looking at our arguments, right, and I'm really being introspective about this, I am realizing that there are parts in myself that I have to fix and change, because let's figure out why these arguments escalate. See what I'm saying? So that's kind of been something that I've been dealing with. So that thing escalated. Yeah. Like it escalated because I got defensive, and then she, you know, of course, you know, came back and she got defensive, and, you know, kind of goes from there.
What's the, I've heard that Enneagram thing. I don't know if I did one, but can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, and I'm not like an expert with the Enneagrams. There's like 9 personality profiles, and you take a test, and it's like a really old test. And people don't really know how it works, how the questions are asked. They actually don't really know how it works, but somehow it has been one of the most accurate tests on like your personality profile. And so like when I did mine and read mine, I was like, oh wow, like a lot of these things are really me. And I read the other profiles because I'm like, oh, you know, this is probably, you know, like kind of fortune cookie. Oh, like you're a dragon. So a dragon has a lot of energy. It's like, you know, it's like, oh, well, yeah, I have a lot of energy. But I actually read through a lot of the other ones, and I realized that, oh, like, wow, mine's actually pretty accurate.
Can you tell me what can you just share some of the things?
I would have to, honestly, look it up.
Okay. It's okay. I was just curious about that. Okay. I mean, for me personally, I struggle with disconnecting. Like going back to the whole preferring peace over resolution. Like sometimes I just don't want to deal with it. Like the whole, I'm just going to let it go. Can be a healthy way if I understand what I'm doing. But as a knee-jerk reaction to something, that's not healthy because you're just not processing it and you're just not dealing with it at that moment in time. So like whenever so I would say, I would say my wife is an avoidant.
Oh, she's an avoidant too.
I think she's an avoidant naturally. I mean, of course, she can't do what she does and, without being a validator also, but she's like the natural avoidant. And then but she's also very transparent. Like she's like the heart on the sleeve type. So as she's trying to avoid and just kind of go away from it, the frustration and the resentment is building up and I see it on her face. And that's when I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. Let's deal with it. Because now then my other side comes up because I don't want to.
Right. It's healthier to.
Yeah, I don't want to stew on it. Right. And then I struggle with like, okay, I don't have time. Like that's the script that goes in my head. It's like, I don't have time for this. I got stuff to do. Like this is literally the voice in my head. I don't want to deal with this. I don't have time for this. I just want to move on to something else. And that's where reading this book has really made me think about, well, and we'll talk about this. How do you recognize your style, then move forward, especially with a different type of, style, right? So do you want to maybe, if it's okay, do you want to talk about how to bridge the styles? How do you work with each other?
Yeah, let's talk about it. So first of all, as a step one, figure out what your style is. Are you an avoidance style? Are you a volatile style, right? Are you a validating style? Go look it up on John Gottman's website. I don't know if they have a test or whatnot, but just you could figure it out once you read it. So figure out what your natural style is, because I think that's step number one. Then the second step is, okay, so let's figure out like if you are this and your partner is this, how do you work with each other? So let's go through that super quick, okay? If you're an avoidant style and your partner is a volatile style, then you have to set ground rules for breaks if things escalate. Because once you get emotionally escalated, we all know after it was like 90 or 95 beats per minute, you're not going to want to be that person. That person's going to say things that you're going to regret and do things that you're going to regret. So allow space when needed, but commit to coming back to the issue. If you're a volatile style and then you have your partner is an avoidant style, practice soft startups. I feel when you do this, it makes me feel this. So like start with I feel statements because you cannot debate with your feeling. You could debate with the truth, but not necessarily, hey, this is my truth. I feel this. If that makes sense. So, and avoid overwhelming your partner with high energy or criticism. That's not going to work well with avoidant styles. Validating, if you're a validating style and you have an avoidant or a volatile style, model healthy listening, reflective feedback. So you're telling me that you were angry because I didn't do the dishes at night. Is that right? And you were frustrated. So that's reflective feedback. And then try to bridge the energy gaps between the other styles. And then any style to a different style, this is kind of like the catch-all, is agree on fair fight rules. No yelling, no blaming, or withdrawing without notice. Use timeouts and safe reconnection. What do you think about those?
Yeah, so I'd like to go into some specific things, just from recent memory of reading the book, or I'm not done yet actually. But what's funny is sometimes I read a book, and I have to stop because I have to think about all the things that this applies to, and it kind of rushes in my head. I'm like, well, this just happened this morning. How would I have used it? So anyway, what I am learning is the way to really, another catch-all would definitely be the gentle startup idea, right? So me and my wife recently had an argument where, it was the you, and then the you feels like a dagger.
Oh, yeah.
You always You do. You never. And then, so it's like, how do you reframe that? And you can actually do what's called repairing the moment, not the problem, right? So like, as soon as I know the fight has gone off the rails, and one of the biggest things is to know when you are becoming flooded with emotion. The argument is not the problem is not the problem you started with or the argument or the challenge. It's the moment. So you have to solve the moment. So now you have to repair it by either taking a break. So the Gottmans say when your body gets flooded with stress hormones like cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine, all this stuff, it takes about 20 minutes minimum for your body to metabolize those things and kind of get it out of your body. So you want to pick a break time of anywhere from 20 minutes to not more than 24 hours, right? Yeah. So having a pre-agreed upon thing saying, hey, I'm feeling flooded, I'm feeling upset, I'm feeling attacked, I'm feeling, whatever. Can we just take a quick break? And don't walk out because that's rude and that's disrespectful. Agree to take a break, let those hormones go away. And contrary to popular belief, I just learned that the Gottmans believe that you can go to sleep without having this problem be solved because it's better to maintain that relationship and not to throw daggers at each other.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I've always wondered about that.
Yeah, because so now I know you're a Christian.
I was just thinking that. It just passed through my head.
I know what you're going to say at any given moment. I'm just kidding.
I was going to say poo, but...
So, because they say, the Bible says, don't go, do you know the exact...
don't let the sun go down on your anger or while you're angry or something like that. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and I'm like, that makes sense because in the heat of the moment, you just make so many mistakes.
You do.
You can say some seriously messed up things. And we were just talking about some of these things over lunch. But I think so that was a good thing. It's like, okay, strive for a soft startup. Even if it starts harsh, you can pause and say, hey, you know what? That was wrong of me. Let me rephrase this way. Or turn it back around. You can say, hey, I feel a little bit attacked right now. I'm feeling a little bit upset. Can you rephrase it in a different way? And actually, this book has a whole list of phrases that you could just take from the book and use it during your fights. And in fact, they do that in therapy, which reminded me of your story of having your trusted pastor and his wife be with you guys during an argument. I had no idea. I just read this today, where they would sit with you in the moment and be like, hold on, how did that feel? I feel attacked. Okay, tell it to him, tell it to her. And like, that's such a crazy, it's just a new concept for me that you can actually redirect and redo your fights in the moment to lead it into a better path. So I just wanted to mention that because I thought it was important. So
delivery is so key in fighting. It really is. Like, you could say the same thing in multiple different ways, and very few ways are actually going to get you to the results. And so don't fight to just release your anger to this person, unleash your anger to this person. Fight to get to the conclusion, to mend the relationship, right? But when we get so emotional and we feel all this hatred and all this stuff, like, I get it. But then that's not a great way to engage in a fight, because that's just going to lead to more resentment and more anger and this and that, right? And that's not your end goal. You don't want to break up, right? That wouldn't be where most of us would want to be. So, yeah, I think okay. So now that we know the different conflict styles and then how to work with different conflict styles, let's actually go through some of the last points, which is just some of the different ways you can kind of fight right here. And so like the soft starting soft And then staying curious. I think we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. We need to be more curious. We need to ask a lot more questions to let the other person have psychological air, for them to feel relieved when they talk, calm down, emotionally just like kind of just be more sedated, right? And that's what you want. You don't want to talk in elevated emotion. So stay curious. Seek to understand first. And then compromise when possible. Focus on the win-win, not the win-lose. That never works, right? You don't want to just be the winner, right? Keep positive. Aim for at least a 5-to-1 ratio of positives to negatives. We all know about that, right? It's like, give the person 5 compliments. Go give them a glass of water. Give them the chewing gum. Compliment them on their dress, whatever. It's like, give them 5 of those and then 1 request of change. We call it a bid, right? Hey, can you please just can you just like wash the dishes at night, so I don't feel like bad in the morning, something like that, right? And then repair and reconnect. So quick repair attempts, apologizing, a little humor works, right? Not like sarcasm, not trying to be sarcastic, which can also be very hurtful, because a lot of us men become sarcastic to deaden a dig, to be honest, like kind of reduce the blow of a dig, but some humor and some touch, right? So quick repair attempts can stop spirals. And then you put repair the moment and not the problem. So yeah, I mean, again, so just to kind of close this out, is that it's not a problem with fighting, right? It's like, it's not about never fighting. I've heard some couples say, oh, we never fight. It's like, that's not healthy,
Yes, exactly.
Because that's where it's like the one day, boom, and then, you guys break up. And so it's not about not fighting. It's about learning how to fight and understanding your style and learning your partner's style and how to fight well in that moment. And then using some of these techniques, like, a slow startup, right? Like a soft startup, in order to fight really well, so you can maintain a long-term healthy relationship. You don't want to be an avoidant and never fight, right? But you don't want to be so volatile, right? Where you're just attacking all the time. And so, yeah, I mean, these techniques are great. Any last thoughts here?
I think one that comes up to mind is that, you and I are such, like, we get paid to solve problems, and we're always trying to solve a problem. And yet, the Gottmans talk about the idea of a solvable problem and a perpetual problem, right? Like, think about the who does the dishes. Could be just a scheduling or a conversational thing where you work it out, or it could be, which is like a solvable problem. But then a perpetual problem might just be that, look, I'm an introvert and you're an extrovert. That's just how I am. That's just how you are. So understanding that the way I think about wanting to go out and go to parties might be different than you forever. And having grace and love and understanding on that.
And compromise.
Active compromise. I think that is a very, very, and that's essentially the spice of life also. Like, you want to have some of those opposites attract kind of a thing. And it's personally helped me learn about, okay, it's okay to have arguments and to fight, because then you can use that to get deeper into connection with somebody, right? And not be ashamed of it, but learn how it's done. And there is proof out there on how to do it right. And there are resources, clearly. So,
yeah. And for everyone watching, please go to, read up on Gottman's material. It's really good. And if you're in conflict, or if you're struggling with relationships in general, or if you're struggling with your partner, I mean, there's ways around it. You just got to work on it. You got to have plans. You got to have protocols. And, I know this stuff is a pain in the butt. Life is already hard. There's way too much on our plate, but it's worth it, because relationships at the end of the day are what actually matters in life. And if you have a good relationship with your partner, the people closest to you, man, it just makes your life so much better. It helps you be able to have the energy and focus to be able to focus on other things, your children, right? Your business, your hobbies, things that, it just makes life so much better. So we just encourage you guys to please take some energy that you have in your day to focus on some of these things. And I promise it'll be so good for the betterment of your life and your family's life and the people around you.
Well said.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next video.